from the back of the Shear Shop at the Grandstand. The TT Motorsport merchandise guys are just opening up. It's going to be a busy day here with the RST Superbike race a bit later on, and of course the Locate Isle of Man Sidecar race number 1. Christy DeHaven, we've got some serious housekeeping to do before we get on with our guests this morning.
We have.
Because we actually broke Twitter yesterday.
We did break
Twitter.
Twitter.
Radio TT Twitter account absolutely binned itself yesterday.
Yeah, but you know what? Our guys are so good. They fixed it again.
I don't know how.
I know, I don't know how either,
No.
but it is working. So you can now use our Manx Radio TT Twitter feed. So if you want to send any questions to our guests who we'll introduce in a moment, you can do that. You can also text us 166 177. If you could start your message with TT, that would help us enormously, so we know that that is what you're getting in touch about. You can also email us studio@radiott.com. As was just mentioned by Kinners, of course, it is race day. They'll all know, listening to this. So just to let you know a little bit about race times and the schedule for today, there has been a consultation with the Met Office. So as a result of that, as we mentioned, there is some cloud overhead. So the TT clerk of the course, Gary Thompson, is going to make a further announcement on the schedule at 9 a.m. this morning. At the moment, it currently stands as is, but there is going to be another announcement at 9 a.m. because there's a bit of mist and fog covering large parts of the TT course. At the moment, though, the schedule is currently the roads closing will be Barrule Park, Ramsey to Bungalow at 10:15. At 10:30, Bungalow to the Craig will close. At 11, the rest of the TT course will close. And then, of course, the racing begins. So at midday, we've got the RST Superbike race. 3 p.m, we've got the Locate IM Sidecar Race 1. 4:35, Super Stock and the Super Sports and the Lightweight Qualifier. And then at 5:10, the TT0 qualifier as well. And don't forget, of course, you can listen on FM now.
Good.
And shall I see if I can get it right? 87.9 in Douglas and Ramsey.
Close enough.
Okay, and 100.6 in Sulby in the Northwest. Did I get it right? It only took a week.
That's fair to Midland now. It's taken a week just about to get it done. Well done, Chrissy. Yeah, that's spot on. If you'd like to get in touch with a little question for our journalists that are in here this morning, we got Stephen Davison, very well-known photographer person who always shouts at me to get out of the way because he wants to get a decent shot. Stephen, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, right. And Chris Boyde has been along with us. It's been like the Chris show on the practice reports this week. Boyde, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. And also Stuart Barker, morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Chris. Sorry to spoil the Chris show.
It's all right. No, that's fine. No, we should have changed your old names because it could have been Chris. It would be fantastic. And we're joined by Mark. We're also joined by Alex, who's our producer back there as well. Boys, what a practice week it's been so far. Stuart, just quickly before we'll look at you in a bit more detail, what a practice week it's been so far. Big highs, big lows, but hey, that's the Isle of Man, isn't it?
Dreadful lows. I mean, before we start anything, I'd just like to pay tribute to Dan Nain and send out my deepest condolences to his family and friends and wish Steve Mercer a full and speedy recovery. To answer your question, yeah, I mean, a full dry week makes a huge difference, laying rubber down, laying grip down, and any of the guys who've held lap records, Dunlop and McGuinness, will tell you that's crucial in getting that final sort of 1 mile an hour on the lap time. And to get a lot of laps in as well makes a big difference. You know, there's not been so much interruption apart from the tragedies with Dan. So we've seen with Harrison's times, we've seen Dunlop's times. You mean they're right there. I think a lap record will go today.
Oh, absolutely great. And a man who's good with the stats, he's better with the stats and figures than me. Chris Boyd, he's been up in the tower all week. I mean, you mentioned laps last night about the amount of laps riders have done. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 14 for some riders going into last night, and then some of them will have got another 2 or 3 in last night, so they could be up to 16, 17. So yeah, sensational. We've got a couple of stats here as well that just suggest that lap record pace is definitely there.
Okay, we'll look at those stats as well. And Stephen Davison. Stephen, it's good to see you walking a bit better than what you were in the start of the week. And I know we take the mick a bit out of you and that and all that, but you just kind of what did you do again?
I just pulled a calf muscle. But it was more of a waved yellow than a red flag. We're okay.
You're all right. Where did you do that? Were you just taking a photograph somewhere? Or?
I was photographing Michael Rotter up on the mountain. I just happened to climb up onto a bank and down I went.
Oh dear! And then you felt it when you went down, and I'm sure everybody was dead sympathetic to you as you.
Michael was all cups of tea and Florence Nightingale, yeah.
Yeah, I bet he wasn't. Okay, Chris, just give us those stats you're going to tell us about then, because obviously it's important. It's a big day. There'll be a load of people coming to the island, and let's just look at some stats that we've had from the week so far.
Yeah, well, we know that right from last Saturday opening practice, Michael Dunlop set an unofficial lap record on the lightweight machine. We know Dean Harrison's been sub-17. We know there's just been tremendous pace all week. We've had a look at the fastest sector times for each rider rider, their own virtual lap of the week, if you like. And it's not Dean Harrison that comes out on top. It is Michael Dunlop. Okay. Michael Dunlop, when you string his fastest sector times of the week together, comes out at a 16:52.
Really?
134.197, which shows the kind of pace that is in that Tyco bike, and we haven't really seen the pace of that Tyco bike fully this week. It's come out of the Northwest 200, and he's confident. I think he knows he's got what's under him in the Northwest 200. He's come here, he's done single lap runs all week, he's used 2 bikes, as you've been reporting on all week, Chris, and it was only last night we saw a 2-lap run, and that was with waved yellows on the mountain, and he set incredible times.
Certainly did, so I totally agree with that. Just looking at the RT Superbike qualifying, 133.462 for Dean Harrison, 132.983 for Michael Dunlop, Hickman 132.86, Dan Lean of course 132.2, Connor Cummins in the 130s 131.1, James Hillier 130.644, so that's the top 7 with David Johnson getting in there as well on the BMW 130.097, so the top 7 all in the 130s. Stuart Barker, it's quite incredible the pace the boys and girls have been getting up to all week, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the thing that strikes me these days, Chris, is there was a time when Joey Delott was winning races by minutes and Giacomo Agostini the same, and if you look at the times now, it's short circuit qualifying times, and it's split seconds covering so many riders. The depth of field, even with the absentees like John McGuinness and Bruce Anstey, the depth of field is just, I'd argue, the best it's ever been at the TT these last few years.
Well, you look at the year when Hutchie won all them races, I mean, they were all won by not much at all, really. So we are back to that again, and I really think the 2 lads in front, I think, are going to pull everybody along as well. Don't discount Peter Hickman as well, because I think it's his time. I really, really do. Yeah, and I think the fascinating thing, and something we've maybe not seen at the TT for a long time, is the battle between the road specialist and Michael Dunlop against the top short circuit boys like Hickman and Josh Brooks. And it's just fascinating to see. We've seen it at the Northwest with Glenn Irwin sort of destroying the field. Michael doesn't have to worry about Glenn Irwin here, so a different ball game. But I like that. I like to see the short circuit guys taking on the road guys, and we get a kind of best of both worlds. Really. Yeah, we certainly do, because that wasn't the case for a long, long time. There were just roads guys, and then there was the guys who did the BSB or the British Championship as it was then. Stephen, you've been around this game a long time. I mean, there's some cracker riders, both disciplines now, isn't there?
The Northwest had that with Glenn and Alistair Seeley as well, and to be fair, they won everything pretty much, so it would be great. I think Glenn tweeted last night that he'd be here next year. That would be
racing, riding?
Yeah, I think he's talking about racing. I know he really wants to do it. It's just the circumstances of his BSB business as well, but it would be fantastic to have him here. I don't think Alistair will ever come, but it would be fantastic to have Glenn.
I did speak to Alistair about that at the Northwest Run, not obviously on microphone, just to talk, and I said, he said I'd love to do it. He said, but I don't want, it's not my thing, which I suppose is fair enough. Christy, got anything for us there, me dear?
Well, we're just
Am I allowed to call you me dear in this modern age?
Oh, am I supposed to get my back up with that? It's fine, I don't mind. Just wondering what you guys make of the Zero bikes, having been in this game for a long time, and obviously, sort of that whole change of scene.
I'm disappointed that there's not a larger field, really, because it was 2009 the first year, and we thought it would build year on year. And obviously the Mugens are so impressive. I mean, the most factory bikes in the paddock, the greatest prototypes in the paddock, probably most expensive as well. But it drops off a cliff fairly sharply after the first sort of 2 or 3. Really, and for me, too small a field. We don't have the noise. There was talk in the early days that once the battery power was sufficient, then they could make them sound like Lancaster Bombers or whatever you wanted. And we're thinking, oh, this could be good. But they've not got that excess battery power yet. So a bit disappointing, the slow progress. It was supposed to be this big new thing, and maybe it'll help when we get the EGP series.
Well, the Formula E thing's taken off a little bit, hasn't it? Yeah,
it has in the car world, but I think it's just that bit more relevant in the car world in general than bikes, whether they're ever going to take off. I mean, remains to be seen, but I'm a bit disappointed that there's not more. There's not more to
They're getting some decent speeds, though.
Yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, I mean, 250 kind of lap record pace, and nobody was laughing at those boys back in the day.
168 to the speed trap for Lee Johnson last night as well. I mean, that's quite an incredible. And you look at the lap time for Lee Johnson, Chris Boyd, compared to Michael Rutter, so similar last night, wasn't it?
They were almost identical, almost within a tenth of a second, I think, of one another, weren't they? It was phenomenal. So those two bikes are set up to do exactly the same, and those two at least will give us a race hopefully come Wednesday.
Go on, Stevie.
I've got an idiot question for
Oh.
you, Chris. I'm now going to call you the stat man.
Yeah,
How
stat
do you
man.
keep all those numbers in your head? What is your setup like up there?
I keep
What
all of
have
the
you got like a
machines.
million screens in front
We
of
have
you?
got a lot of screens. Yeah, we're upstairs in the tower where Tim Glover will be today, hosting the commentary. I take his seat for the practice sessions, and yeah, we've got a myriad of screens up there showing us all sorts of information. I'm not anywhere near as clever as it might appear, and then I've got lots of little bits of programs built just to drop times into that'll then feed me out data like we've just mentioned about Michael Dunlop. I'll just run down that list if I can actually, Chris.
Yeah.
Dean Harrison, his virtual lap of the week is about 2.8 seconds slower than Dunlop, but it's still a 1:33.8, 16:54. Peter Hickman, as we would expect, third fastest on a 16:58 on his virtual lap, so he's got the potential to go sub-17, definitely. Connor Cummins' best of the week put together is then a little bit of a gap out to 17:11. So not quite maybe there with the Paget's machine just at the moment. Then James Hillier, who we know has been struggling a little bit this week on a 17:16.
There's still quick lap times, aren't they, Stevie
Yeah.
Davis? And everybody's just up in their game, I think. And I was mightily impressed with James Hillier at the Northwest 200, because some people said to me, and I think one of the guys working on that radio says, oh, well, he doesn't really want to mix it with these guys. He's on the TT. But one of those super sport races, by gum, it wasn't off in the sharp bit for a long while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a few podiums at the Northwest as well. And I think, as you say, everybody has up their game. That's the big thing here to close in on Michael. Dean certainly has gone about 10 seconds quicker than he's gone before. Peter has done his fastest lap as well. They've closed that gap, and it's kind of looking like a two-part race in a way, that those three are at the front, and then maybe Connor and James maybe they can bridge that gap if they get in there today. But those are it's Peter, Michael, and Dean. And Dean has been the sensation because he hasn't had a full proper superbike. I was talking to him about this the other day. He was having an ice cream out there, and why has he been able to go make this big jump? It's just down to the bike. The fact that he's on the bike for the third year in a row, and also he's been at BSB a lot, so he's really sharp. He's coming here really sharp. But you have to remember that this is really Michael's first time on the Tyco bike.
And new suspension's new for the team too, isn't it? So
yeah, he's worked through it all week, and it was pretty obvious last night. Last night was the first time he's done 2 consecutive laps. And you look at that speed when there was oil in the mountain, yellow flags being waved, all the rest of it. You could see when he was on the bike even last night that he was comfortable. He's got it just on the eve of the race where he wants it to be.
Yeah, Chris Palmer said he's never seen eyes under a crash helmet like that when he flipped the visor up last night before he went. We're just on 8:14 and a half. We'll take a very short break. We're here with the journalists this morning. We're speaking to Stephen Davison, Chris Boyde and Stuart Barker. Back in a moment.